Today we're going to talk about some emotional fundamentals. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I was giving him some advice, and I thought it was going to be just throwaway kind of advice. Like, I thought everybody knew these things, and he seemed to really appreciate it and kind of get a new idea about how to look at what was going on for him. So it occurred to me that maybe not everybody knows some of these things. So I want to just back up and make sure that we're all on the same page about what emotions are and what they're not, and how to deal with them. Because there's a few different ways that we can deal with them, like Gophers, and so we'll talk about that for a bit. So number one, emotions. The emotions and feelings, they just happen, and this is a fundamental characteristic of emotions, is that they just happen. There's nothing we can do about them happening. They're gonna come up almost no matter what. We can't stop them from happening. It's kind of like if we're thinking about something, we can't necessarily stop thoughts from jumping into our mind. We can't stop emotions from jumping into our hearts or bodies or whatever. And this is an important aspect, because everything really flows from here. They just happen. Because they just happen, you have, let's just call it a right. You have a right to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. A lot of times you'll hear people say, like, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this. Should be more involved in this. I don't want to be feeling this thing. This is bad. Or even like, hey, you, to other people, you shouldn't be feeling this anymore. That's not what's going on. And I want to just like kibosh that. You have the right to feel anything that you're feeling in any given moment. It can't be any different. To say I shouldn't be feeling this way is to deny the reality that you actually are feeling this way. So that's number two. Number one is they just happen. Number two, you have a right to feel whatever you're feeling. Number three is emotions. They aren't good or bad. They just are. There's no good emotions. There's no bad emotions. Happy isn't a better emotion to have than angry. They all just exist. There's no, you shouldn't feel these types of emotions. These are bad. Jealousy, rage, anger, fear. You should only be feeling happiness and joy and gratitude. That's not true. They just happen. We feel what we're feeling. We have every right to feel what they're feeling. They aren't good or bad, and so we shouldn't categorize them into things that we should or should not feel. And then finally, emotions don't mean anything. Now, this sometimes can be really hard for people for whom emotions play a big part in their world. They don't mean anything, and what I mean by that is they don't tell you anything about external reality or other people or what to do. They might tell you things about yourself, about what's going on inside, and about how you're handling situations, about how you view the world. Any information that they might give you is all about yourself. They do not tell you anything about external reality. And so when I say they don't mean anything, that's kind of the idea, is you can't take what you're feeling and then extrapolate, oh, because I'm feeling this, this is true about the world, or this person, or how I should behave and act. That's not true. The only things they tell you about what's going on in here. So that's kind of I'm just going to call it 4 of the most basic fundamental principles of emotions. Obviously there's entire libraries dedicated to this sort of thing, so this is not exhaustive, but these are basic. These need to be known to do any sort of emotional intelligence and awareness work later on. And so having done that, having known that, what do we do about them? There's really 3 things that we can do about emotions when they come up. Number 1 is feel them. That seems obvious, but it's not. It's not the thing that we normally want to do. Unless the emotion is happy, and even then sometimes, unless it's like really pleasant and pleasing and easy for other people to be around, we often don't want to feel the emotion. That's sad, that's painful, that hurts. It's gonna take me out for a week if I do this kind. If I really go in and feel that, that's not what we want to do. A lot of times we want to like beat down the emotion, and that's number 2, right? You can ignore the emotion, but it's kind of like whack-a-mole, right? This is where emotions are like gophers. It's kind of like whack-a-mole. You beat down the emotion, it's going to pop back up somewhere else. And you beat it down over here, and that same emotion is going to pop up somewhere else. You can't beat down an emotion and make it go away. You can beat down an emotion, that's a valid option. But know that when you do that, it hasn't gone. It's just buried itself in there like a gopher, and it's going to pop up again, make a hole in your lawn, and cause you all kinds of ankle rolls and problems, right? So until you actually feel the emotion, it's going to stay there. And so number one is the thing that we can do with emotions is feel it, and I really recommend going this route. It's more difficult, it's more challenging in the moment, and it's far more rewarding, because every time we beat down an emotion, to be honest, we're beating down ourselves a little bit. Every time we say no to an emotion, emotion is just life happening through us, right? Every time we say no to that little bit of life, we're kind of killing ourselves a little bit. And that's the third option, is you can take all of your emotions and just completely cut yourself off from them and not feel anything. You can't say, I'm going to cut myself off from these difficult emotions, I'm going to feel these really nice emotions. That doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. We don't cut off emotions, we cut off our ability to feel emotionally. And so that's the third option. That's the option a lot of people take, is this is just too hard, it's too painful, I can't go through this again, I'm not going to go through this again, I'm not going to go put myself through that pain and difficulty, I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to cut off that hard part. And what actually happens is they cut off the joy and the gratitude and the peace and all emotions, and we become more mental, more robotic, and quite a bit more dead. And it's kind of hard to say that, but it's true. I've spent a lot of time in that unemotional dead spot, and I've spent a lot of time working on going back up through these and trying to feel them and ignoring it for a little while and watching it pop up again, and eventually really feeling things more in full time, certainly not perfectly by any means, but my experience of going through that process of cutting yourself off completely to trying to be on the end of feeling them real time is my life feels richer. I feel like I have more life in my life. In general, I just enjoy life more, and I feel more a part of it. And so this is the reason why I want to do this video, is because I know that this is a really tempting thing to just, I'm going to ignore this for a while, to I'm going to ignore this forever, to I'm just not going to feel anymore. It's tempting because it's easier, and easier doesn't make a rich, enjoyable life. Honestly, what makes it more enjoyable is feeling more of the pain, which allows you to feel more of the happiness and gratitude and joy. They both come up side by side. I just actually went back and watched the recording of that video, and there was one little piece that I left out. It may have come across as being a bit flippant, like, hey, just go feel your feelings, that's easy, and if you don't do that, then you're burying your emotions like a gopher, you're killing yourself off by not feeling them. It's not actually that easy. This is one of the more difficult things in life to do, is actually feel all of your feelings in the moment and be okay with them. That's not a simple process. There's a reason that the therapy industry is $1 billion industry, or whatever it is. This is one of the more difficult things that we can do. It's also one of the more valuable and life-affirming things that we can do. So I strongly recommend that like everybody head in that direction of feeling everything that's going on in the moment. I just don't want to make it sound like this is simple, and if you're not doing it, there's something wrong with you, because that's just not true. And that's today's video. Thank you so much. Please let me know what you think about this. If you've had some experiences similar to this, or if you disagree, if you agree, if you don't understand, if you have any questions or comments or concerns, please put them in the link in the description below, in the comments field below, and email me if there's any questions or other ideas. Thank you very much.